The world stopped on September 11, 2025. The tragic news of actor Menglong's death sent shockwaves through the global entertainment industry. A life, glittering and vibrant, extinguished in an instant. Authorities quickly ruled it an accidental fall after a night of heavy drinking. Case closed. Or was it? Menglong's studio, once the shining beacon of a young star's boundless ambition, quickly became the center of a different kind of storm. A firestorm of speculation and conspiracy. Grief-stricken fans and keyboard detectives alike demanded answers that went beyond the official police report. They asked, was this just a tragic accident, or did a toxic workplace, a culture of fear and exhaustion, play a hidden role? We went looking for the truth behind the curtain, and what we found about the daily life inside that high-pressure environment will truly leave you speechless. Menglong rose to stardom with meteoric speed. Beloved on screen, he was hailed as a savvy businessman off it. He didn't just act. He built an empire. His studio was designed to be a machine of perfection. Meticulous branding, flawless execution, and a rapid turnover of high-quality content. The public saw glamour, dedication, and immense success. But behind every flawlessly executed public event, every viral social media campaign, was a team operating under impossible demands. To outsiders, this was the definition of success. To those on the inside, it was the definition of burnout. As Ms. Chloe Wong, a publicist from a rival agency, told us, we all knew Menglong's studio was the gold standard for efficiency, but we also heard the whispers. Their staff looked exhausted. It's an industry where long hours are the norm, but with his company, it was extreme. It felt like they were perpetually in crisis mode, even when things were calm. It was a culture that measured loyalty not by competence, but by sheer endurance. You had to prove you could survive on minimal sleep and maximum stress. That demand for absolute endurance became the fuel for the eventual firestorm. In the days immediately following Menglong's death, the internet began to boil over. The sensational claims, the wild theories, the allegations of hidden malice, they saturated the web. While police investigated and ultimately dismissed the most extreme rumors, focusing instead on the verified facts of an accidental fall, our investigation looked deeper. We focused on the source of the discontent. Why were so many former employees deleting their digital footprints? Why the overwhelming sense of fear? We found that the true hidden abuse was not the dramatic crime alleged online, but the systemic psychological toll of the company's operating standard. As industry analyst Dr. Ling Wei explained, the celebrity studio model is inherently high stakes. It's built entirely on a single person's brand, a single person's ambition. The staff are completely reliant on that one individual. It's a 24/7 ecosystem. Failure is not an option, and the pressure to deliver is enormous. This pressure trickles down. It becomes systemic. You can't complain about 18-hour days to your family because you are paid handsomely for it, but the cost to your mental health is incalculable. It's a golden cage. Alex, a former junior manager whose voice and identity we have obscured for protection, told us his experience. Sighs heavily. I worked there for 2 years. We were all family, or that's what we were constantly told. But family meant 18-hour days. It meant answering calls at 3 a.m. about a minor scheduling change. We were always on call. You had no personal life. We were managed by fear. Alex described an environment where professional boundaries simply dissolved. The biggest fear wasn't being fired. It was disappointing him, the boss. The verbal pressure. It was constant. Everything had to be perfect, or you'd face a tirade. Not physical, no, but the psychological wear-down. That was the worst kind of abuse. It was the abuse of your time, your sleep, your self-worth. You started to believe that your worth was directly tied to your exhaustion level. The culture of the studio was notorious for its intensity, but according to Alex, the intensity was amplified by a mandatory social component, the loyalty test. The drinking. That was mandatory. If he had a business dinner, the entire core team had to be there. You couldn't say no. Saying no was seen as disloyalty, as a lack of dedication to the brand. It was part of the job description that wasn't on the contract. It was to be present, to be a human shield, to participate, to drink. It was a loyalty test every night. When the official ruling came out, accidental fall after drinking. For those of us who had been there, it was a tragic, familiar conclusion to a long, grinding cycle. We all saw the signs, because we were all participants in that toxic pressure. We spoke to Maya, a former financial assistant, also obscured for her protection. She described the systemic control. The contracts were confusing. They were written to ensure absolute control over the staff's time and, frankly, their silence. You signed non-disclosure agreements that were so sweeping they covered everything from proprietary information to, and I quote, any adverse personal experiences with senior management. It made people terrified to speak out, even about minor infractions. Maya revealed the structural mechanisms designed to enforce the culture of silence. Beyond the hours, there were allegations of routine suppression of standard labor rights. Unpaid overtime was common. We'd log 100-hour weeks sometimes, and if you questioned the lack of compensation, you were told you were part of a team building something great and great things required sacrifice. If you pushed, you were subtly isolated. It wasn't just a job. It felt like indentured devotion. The financial engine that fuels the dream often hides deep structural cracks. And the artists, the other younger talents signed to the studio, their contracts were even more controlling. Their freedom to speak about any internal studio issues was completely stifled. This systemic control fed the darkest rumors. When tragedy struck, the established culture of silence meant the public had no credible voice to turn to. In the vacuum of truth, conspiracy flourished. To be clear, the police investigation concluded there was no foul play. The 3 individuals detained shortly after the death were arrested for fabricating and spreading false allegations online, specifically the wild claims of physical abuse and cover-ups. The official narrative holds a tragic accidental fall. But our investigation confirms that the intense public desire to believe those false, dark rumors didn't come from nowhere. It came from a deep-seated public understanding that these celebrity studios operate without accountability. When a workplace demands everything from its employees, their time, their health, their silence, and operates in the shadows, the public will always suspect the worst when tragedy occurs. The true hidden abuse wasn't a crime scene. It was the environment